Hi and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann and today I want to show you a really simple way to use Spectrum Noir pens and stencils. Spectrum Noir pens are an alcohol pen from Crafter's Companion, and they work beautifully for coloring stenciled images. And you can see on my card these three stenciled leaves on here. They have been traced from stencil and then colored in with the alcohol markers. Super easy technique to do and a lot of fun too. So let me show you what I'm using. The stencil that I'm working with is from the Crafter's Workshop, and this is the mini abstract leaves. You can see all of these different leaves on here, a lot of fun to trace and color. And I also need something to trace onto, and Crafter's Companion also has a paper, the Nina Classic Crest Card, and this is really ideal for working with the Spectrum Noir pens or any kind of alcohol pen. The problem that most people run into when they're coloring with these kinds of pens or any pens is that the ink will kind of bleed or it will feather into your paper. And that's why it's important to use paper that is designed for that kind of thing, and it will address that problem. So what I need to do is trace my leaves onto my Nina paper, and I'm using just a regular fine tip black pen. This is the Pigma Micron pen. It has a super fine tip, so it's really nice for tracing. You can see how tiny that tip is. Any black pen will work as long as it's got a nice fine tip that allows you to get into these areas here. So as you can see, I've already traced two of my leaves, and I just lined this up with these two here, placed it down, and then traced those with my black pen. Now I decided that I didn't want this leaf. Instead I wanted this leaf over here. So I just scooted it over, kind of generally lined these two up, and then held it down and traced the third one down here at the bottom. You can tape down your stencil if you want to. I prefer just to hold it, and I'll hold it in place kind of in various areas as I'm going around. But you can see this is really easy to trace, especially with that fine tip pen. So once I have those three leaves traced, I'm going to have something that looks like this, and then I can start coloring. And the set of pens that I'm using to color, these are the reds, the Spectrum Noir reds. So I get 6 colors to work with, and I'm going to be working with 5 of them. But you can see just from the caps on here all of the different lovely colors that you'll get. Now the Spectrum Noir pens have two tips. So they have a broad chisel tip and they have a fine tip here. So the other thing that's really nice to note is this little gray band on here. If you look at all of my pens, you can tell which side is the fine tip because it's that tip that has, the side that has kind of a faint gray band. It almost looks like you haven't snapped the cap on well enough, but that's to indicate the fine tip. So I'm going to go ahead and get my DR5 pen, which is the kind of a pretty raspberry color. And I'm going to start coloring with my fine tip. So get this off. And on the top leaf here, I'm going to color the outside and some of the inner area too. And you'll notice that I'm not being that careful about it. Just kind of coloring this in here. The fine tip really fits in perfectly with this narrow area, which is nice. So I'm going to color in this center piece. And then I'm also going to drop down here to the middle leaf, and I'm going to color the top 2 of these little stripy areas here. Okay, so get those, and then go down to the third leaf, and I want to color the top 3 sections here. So I'm just kind of scribble that in. You may decide that you like to have some white showing as you're coloring. Maybe you don't want to color in all of the squares perfectly. You can see there's a little bit of white showing there. You can decide to do that. I kind of like an offset look myself. So once I've colored those 3 areas with the DR5, I'm going to come over to the CR10, which is a little bit more orangey shade. And again, with the fine tip side, the top leaf, I'm going to color the inside area here. And just kind of scrub around here. Again, I can leave some white showing if I want to. Gives kind of a funky look, or I can really cover all of the areas with color. That's okay too. You start to develop the look that you like, and any way that you go is totally fine. So color that. And then I'm going to come down here and color the bottom or the middle sections of the middle leaf. And then, you know, this has just gone outside the edge, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. And then I'm going to do these 2 center sections here. You'll see later as I'm adding more color why I'm so casual about having gone outside the lines or maybe inside some of the lines. So color this in here. That's with the CR10. Now the DR3, going back to some of the raspberry shades too. On the middle leaf, I'm going to color the bottom 2 sections. And this little stem here. And then I will also go down here and color these bottom 2 sections. Like so. Okay, and that was again with the DR3. Now I could leave this like this. This actually looks kind of pretty. So you could stop right here if you wanted to. I'm going to keep going though and take the CR11, again a little bit more of that raspberry shade with my fine tip, and I'm going to outline this bottom leaf. And this is where people who don't color or don't draw get a little bit nervous because they think they have to be perfect at drawing. You don't. I'm certainly testament to that. I'm just going to go around and trace the outside part of the leaf, just following along that black line. If I get any wavy bits on here, you can always come back and add more, you know. It's supposed to be a bit of a casual effect, so don't worry too much about getting it perfect. So that was with the CR11. Now with the CR8 pen, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to color in all of the innies on this leaf. So here you can see it doesn't really matter if I have some areas that I'd overlapped because I'm coming along here, and this is going to kind of blend. The alcohol inks do blend nicely with each other. So I'm going to add some color in here. If I want to overlap any of those areas, I can do that. And color in this center section here. And then I also want to color in the inside areas of this leaf too. I'm also going to outline this leaf as well with the same color, the same pen. So I'm going to scribble this in here. You can see how these, the center area, those pens really do have a very similar tone. So I'm going to show you a trick for making a difference between those two. Then I'm going to take the same pen and outline around here. I think it just gives kind of a finish to it. Okay, so again, if I have any wavy bits on there, there we go. So that was with the CR8. And I'm going to come back to the DR5. Let me find that over here, DR5. And I'm going to outline 2 of the center sections in the middle leaf because they really don't stand out as well as I would like them to. So come back, color these just along the outside edge. Again, that fine tip is really going to make it stand out. And then also down here on this leaf. And outline these. Again, if it's not totally perfect, don't worry. Leaves are all very individual, very distinct from one another. So no problem about that. So now I have all of my leaves colored. If I still do have a little bit of white showing that I'm like, oh, not really happy with that, I'll take one of my lighter colors, and this is the CR8, and maybe just kind of touch those up if you want to. So I could go through here and just kind of scuffle along and really get rid of all of the white showing. Okay, so those will kind of blend each other out. Like so. Now the last thing I wanted to do, this center leaf looked a little bit, it looked like it needed an outline. So I came back with my black pen and again, just a very loose, very casual outline. So then I have my 3 leaves all colored in with my Spectrum Noir pens. Let me bring this back in so that you can see. It really does have a very casual, very informal look, but I like it. I think it looks really modern as well. So I added a little stamped sentiment down here at the bottom, the Thank You Kindly, which is a stamp that I adore. And this is from Savvy Stamps, a little wood-mounted stamp like this, and I use it a ton. I really like it. So that's just down at the bottom. Matted this onto brown cardstock and then onto mauve cardstock. And this ribbon here, it has also been colored with the Spectrum Noir pens. Let me show you. The ribbon itself is actually just a plain white grosgrain ribbon. It's actually, I think it's kind of cheap ribbon. It's really stiff, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to color it to whatever color I like. And with this one, I took the DR3. Let me find the DR3 here. And in this case, I'm using the broad tip, and I'm going to put it onto a piece of scrap paper and then just color directly onto it. And you can see immediately it's already, well, it's already dry. It's already soaking in. And then I usually, if I'm going to have it knotted or tied in a bow where you would see both sides of the ribbon, I just flip it over and make sure that I really color onto the back as well. So I color the entire piece of the ribbon, and then it takes just a second to dry, and then you have a really cool, pretty ribbon that you can accent your card with, and it matches perfectly. Now the paper that I used for my background, this really fun polka dot design, is from the paper pack from My Mind's Eye, and this is the Honey Collection. Now these are all 6x6 papers. So what I did, because my card is bigger than 6x6, I trimmed down the 6x6 piece so that it was cut off a section of it so that it would fit onto my card front. And then I just took this other section and kind of put it down at the bottom of the card. So you can't see it because it's covered up by a ribbon, but there is a gap in between those two papers. So I just kind of, you know, cut apart and rearranged my pattern paper to make it fit onto my card front. So this is how easy it is to use Spectrum Noir pens from Crafter's Companion in combination with stencils. I hope you enjoyed today's segment. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like more ideas and inspiration, please do stop by my website at saranaumann.com. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.